Hey everyone, welcome to the latest update for Paul's Old Crap. If you pay attention to my channel, you'll notice I haven't uploaded a video in over a month now. This is for two reasons. One, I'm kind of lazy, so I find myself busy with other things, but when I say busy, I mean probably watching Netflix. The second reason being the winter is now over, so it's road trip season, and I've been doing a lot of work on my car. If you look at the other videos on my channel, you will see some videos related to my car and its endless project, so that does actually take up a lot of my time. So, it's been, I think, a few months since I've done an update video for my old crap here. So I'm just going to go over some of the things I've been up to. I'm not neglecting my collection at all. I have actually added a number of items to my my retro computing pile of junk. So I'm just going to discuss some of the recent acquisitions and what you can expect from my videos coming up. So starting off with the item that I most recently purchased, I actually bought this yesterday. This is the Gravis UltraSound. It's the one of the original ultrasound boards. This thing is revision 3.4. This is one of the early sound cards of the time. I think comparable to like a Sound Blaster 16 or something like that. This, I believe, was made in 1993. And in addition to the card itself, I do have couple of these original manuals, and also pretty neat, this box here, this actually has all of the MIDI connections. So this is the standard like joystick type port you find on most sound cards, I guess, of the time. It actually gives you two joystick ports on this box, as well as your MIDI in, out, and through. Now I do actually have some stuff in my house that uses MIDI, because I do also have music as one of my hobbies, so I've got some equipment and a keyboard that I think eventually I might hook up to this and test it out. One thing I will get to later on is this computer down here, which is one of my newer acquisitions. It's a 486, and it will probably be the computer that I eventually test this card out in. I do have a Sound Blaster 16 in that computer already, so I'm not necessarily going to use the Gravis card as my normal sound card. I'm not too sure about the compatibility. I think some of the DOS games of the time, I've seen that they will have, let's say, AdLib, the UltraSound, and then I think the Sound Blaster compatibility levels. So in terms of being able to run all types of DOS and Windows games, like Windows 3.1 games, and using a compatible sound card, I think the Sound Blaster 16 might be my better choice. But I do plan on testing out the Gravis card because it is neat. And this I did pick up in the local classifieds for where I live. And that was kind of odd because I never see stuff like this in there. So this, along with the MIDI box, together this was $80 Canadian, and you know it's a neat piece of computing history because it's you know, one of these original sound cards, and because Gravis is a Canadian company. So I thought, you know, what the heck, I might never actually use it that much, but I wanted to own it. So yeah, I'm glad I managed to pick that up. Another thing I've got here, I ordered this, I believe it was on eBay, maybe about a month or two ago. This is one of these original VGA to USBs. Now, this isn't a real popular item nowadays because who captures VGA video, right? Well, someone like me does. I've been looking for a way to get the video output for some of my older computers directly recorded into my recording computer, because I didn't really want to be using the camera pointed at screens a whole lot. I think I did use that in the last couple larger videos I did, like my SGI video and the one about my my Mac SE30. I had the camera pointed at the screen. Now on the SE30, there's nothing really you can do about it. There's not really an easy way to record direct video out of that. But the video I did on my SGI, well, it just has a VGA output, and it it seems like it's a lot harder nowadays to get something that has a VGA input. This was one of the only VGA to USBs that I actually saw on eBay, and I forget how much I paid for it. I think it was probably like $100 or something. Most cards that you see out there now are like HDMI input and various things like that. It's like, no, I just wanted VGA input, and to USB, because that was the most convenient for me. So yeah, I mean, it's an older used device, but I guess whoever originally made the VGA to USB, they do have drivers out there that look like they're compatible with Windows 10, which is unfortunately what my recording computer is running. So this hopefully will work out for me, and I'll test it out whenever I do more in-depth videos on my physical computers here. This here, I found this at the SPCA thrift store in town. I don't actually remember if I've included this in one of my previous videos. I don't think I did. I think I maybe just took a picture of it and posted it on my Twitter. It's essentially a touch screen that you put over your CRT, and I think it was made for maybe like a 12 or 13-inch screen. I tried test fitting it on like this LCD I've got back here. It's not really a good fit. So this device it came in both Mac and PC versions, I believe. When you consider that the picture on the front has an Apple II GS, which is kind of interesting because I don't think they made an Apple II version. It was Mac or PC. It's got this type of serial plug on it, and I did find one of these on eBay actually that had the ADB for the Mac version. I guess since it is ADB, the Apple II GS did include that. Whether or not there's drivers for the Apple II GS, who knows? But anyway, this is the PC version of it. I do hope to test this out at some point. It is complete in box. It does have the software in there. Yeah, this is kind of anyone who watches LGR on YouTube. He's got those videos where he goes to like Goodwills and stuff like that and picks up neat stuff exactly like this. And I get jealous because it's exactly what I want to do. And whenever I go to the local thrift stores, which there aren't that many, I don't really find much good stuff. So finding this was actually surprising. Cost me $15, so that's kind of neat. On the topic of finding weird stuff at the thrift store, I'm going to talk about this next item here. This is a Macintosh PowerBook 520C. This was $12.99 at my local Value Village. This in itself is fairly strange. That Value Village store that I picked this up at, they don't sell computers. And this was one of maybe 2 laptops I've ever actually seen show up in the store. One of my co-workers had said that he originally saw this in one of their display cases with a power adapter, and it was priced at $80. Apparently nobody was interested in buying it for $80. But somehow the power adapter was either stolen or sold or misplaced, because this unit here for $12.99 was the laptop only, and the power supply was nowhere to be found. So this actually ended up kicking around random shelves on the store for probably about a month, because I picked this up last week and it was originally at the store over a month ago. And I actually didn't find this on the electrics shelf. I was kind of wandering around the store waiting for the cashier line to shorten, and I found this near like kitchen knickknacks. It was just like a bunch of glass figurines and then a PowerBook sitting next to them. I was like, what? So, but yeah, $12.99. I'm looking for the power supply, hope to find one soon, but I couldn't really pass up this at that price. I do like the design of the 500 series. Way back in high school, I briefly used a PowerBook 540, so getting into one of these 500 series laptops was something I wanted to do. So, yeah, can't wait to test this out. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the software I've been picking up. As you can see, I do have a bunch of stuff sitting here. Every now and then I go on eBay and I look for deals on software. Usually I don't find any. However, there was someone in the town next to me, which is about, half an hour away, who was selling a bunch of 5 1/4 inch discs along with some 3.5 inch discs, like actual Microsoft Windows copies and stuff like that. What's interesting though is the seller, I don't believe, had the auction set that they would ship outside of Canada. It was only within Canada. And the price of the shipping, because it was so close to me, I think it must have been like $5 to $10, and the auctions were all dirt cheap. So what I've got here, like this is Microsoft Windows 3.1, bunch of these. Then we get into Microsoft Windows 3.0. And then we got a copy of the Microsoft mouse drivers. Then we got Microsoft Works for Windows. And then we have a copy of Microsoft Money. And this looks like it's still sealed. So all of these discs, this was one auction. And I believe the auction ended with me being the only bidder. And I believe it was about $1 or $2. So that combined with the shipping charge of like $5 to $10, this pile of software, yeah, it was really dirt cheap. And these discs, I think, like he tested them all before he listed them, and they all worked. And I actually used, what did I use? I actually used these Microsoft Works discs to install onto the 46 I've got down here. One of my recent projects, I have Windows 3.11 on it, and I actually installed Microsoft Works from these discs. So, that's pretty neat. And I don't, like I've already got digital copies of all this stuff. I don't need physical copies, but I do it because I like retro computing. And if you're like me, you're probably going to spend a lot of your money buying software that you could find on like archive.org. But it doesn't matter because you've got the discs. So from that same seller, he also had, like I've got, let's see here, Macintosh System 7.5 Update 2.0. Like there's really no point in having this. I mean, if you've got an old Mac you're trying to revive, you can install any system you want. You don't necessarily need all these copies of the upgrades. But I'm an old school Apple fan, and it's got an Apple logo on it. I'm gonna buy it. I think this, along with, I've got like a stack of System 7.1 install discs. I think each of these is a bundle, so like 5 copies of System 7.1. At least I'm pretty sure they're all 7.1 on the back here. It says like 7.1, and I believe it's like that on all of them. Yeah, so I've got like 5 copies of Macintosh System 7.1. Again, this was like $1 to purchase these discs. So I didn't already have a copy of this, and I thought it would be neat to have an actual original disc copy as I work through the rest of my Macs back here, getting them all running. So, why not? Now when it comes to buying software, I try to stick with big box stuff when I'm shopping around the thrift stores, but I do on occasion also buy these jewel case software titles. Now, not all of this was recent. This is probably just a small portion of what I've actually bought from thrift stores and stuff like that in the last few months. Some of these titles I actually got before the winter, and I'm trying to remember if I included them in a video or not. Around where I live, you've only got a few thrift stores, and they sometimes have stuff, sometimes not. Some of these titles I picked up when I went down to Vancouver. There's actually a couple computer stores down there that I like. One of them including, I think it's called Free Geek. So I think some of these came from there. But Microsoft Age of Empires, Zoo Tycoon. I've never played this, but I might give it a shot. Chessmaster 5000. Midtown Madness 2. This is a pretty popular game. I don't actually remember if I played this or not. If I have, it would have been way back in like the 90s or something, but I'll give it a shot. Microsoft Golf for Windows 95. I kind of like these games. I actually don't like golf that much, but golf on the computer I have no problem with. I was actually playing this earlier today on my Windows 95 box. We got here Sega GT from Activision. I don't think I've ever heard of this game before I actually bought it, but I think it was like $1 or something, so whatever. NASCAR Racing 2. You know, I'm not really like a huge NASCAR fan, but it's a Sierra game, whatever. We got our Lynx 2001, another golf game. We got SimCity 3000. This was $2.99 from Value Village. Now I don't necessarily care about SimCity 3000. However, inside the jewel case, there was a copy of SimCity 3000 and SimCity 2000. When I noticed this in the store, I figured, well, whatever. I guess it's a 2-for-1. Some of these titles, I don't know why, but I like to try and find these Microsoft Home Collection discs. So we've got like Creative Writer, Microsoft Dogs, Microsoft Dinosaurs. You know, it's unlikely I'm ever going to really do anything with these. For the sake of kind of building an era computer, I might take this 46 and then install some of these older titles. So like this was from 1995. So I mean, I guess this would be more geared toward a Windows 95 computer. I don't know. I might get around to playing with these, but I just buy these for fun, really. And that brings us to some of my big box software. This is what I primarily look for when I go into thrift stores and stuff like that, because I'm not really expecting to find much in terms of computer hardware, but computer software is something I never really built a large collection of for the physical software. I was never really a big fan of getting big box software, but there is an appeal to it for a collector, and I try to only pick up stuff that's interesting to me, or stuff that has decent quality boxes. Some of these things aren't in the greatest quality, like, you know, this has a tear in here and it'll beat up, but again, this is one of these Microsoft Home Collection software bundles, and it's Return of Arcade. It runs on Windows 95 exclusively. You know, just some silly, pointless games that, you know, kind of make you feel better about using a Windows computer, I suppose. Yeah, this was $3 from the local Value Village. I don't know. And more golf. Lynx LS 1998 edition. Wow. So this was originally $50 from somewhere. I have no idea where this actually came from originally. I paid $4 from Value Village. Might get around to playing this, because I've only really played the Microsoft Golf, so I don't recall if I've ever played the Lynx LS version, so I might give that a shot at some point here. Here we go. Trophy Bass 2. I have no intention of ever fishing in real life or on a computer, but this is shrink wrapped, new in box, and it's Sierra. So when you see this at the store, this was actually $5. Now, I don't really consider $5 to be a whole lot of money, even though I'm broke all the time. But when you see something like this sealed in box and you're thinking, how on earth could this still be sealed after all of these years? But, you know, whatever. Windows 95 and Windows 3.1, I guess it's a CD it says. I don't know if I'm going to keep it shrink wrapped. I might actually open this up to see inside. If I ever do a specific video on this game, that's what I'll do. Keeping it new, it's not really a huge deal for me, but we'll see. These next two, I don't have the original price tag on them from the store. Both of these I actually got from the local Value Village as well. They didn't have them on the main software shelf. They have all of the other stuff on. They kept these in their display case because these are in like near perfect condition. And we have SimCity Original and SimCity 2000. So if we take a look in here, I mean, we've got everything in here. I have 2 copies of this game. I don't know why. Oh, I think, okay. So this is the actual disc that came with it. It's a SimCity 2000 Special Edition. So I mean, it's pretty good shape. This was another copy of SimCity 2000 that I just had sitting around, so I think I just tossed it in this case for the sake of convenience. So I mean, like, this is pretty decent shaped box. This might have been around $15. And I'm a big fan of the SimCity games, so yeah, I figured, you know, why not? I had never had a boxed copy of this before either, so yeah. And yeah, this was the original SimCity. I'll figure out how you open this. So it's got everything with it. You've got the manual, in great shape. You've got little system requirements card or something like that, yeah. You've even got this, I guess this registration or something you can send in. And yeah, the original CD in there. And like, yeah, this is very good shape considering how old these games are. So when I saw these at Value Village, I figured I better scoop them up. And again, this one, I suspect I paid between $10 and $15 for it. And I don't mind paying that much for these older games, especially the SimCity games, because yeah, like I said, I was a fan of the Sim games. So it's got a little Sound Blaster sticker on it. This was actually added after the box was made. Interesting. This one I picked up. I picked this one up actually the same time I picked up that Macintosh PowerBook. So this would have been last week. Microsoft Combat Flight Simulator 2. I do like the flight simulators. I don't think I've ever played this one. This was $6. This was probably a little more than I would have wanted to pay for a flight sim, especially one that has... The box is a little rough, but it is a Microsoft game. Now, I mean, I'm not exactly a Microsoft fan. It seems that everything they've made in the past 20 years is garbage. But anything that's around like the Windows 95 era, anything up to like 2000, those things I do pick up just because it is Microsoft. And yeah, I'll probably give this a shot at some point, but it's not really one of the more appealing games to me, but I'll try it out. This last one here, Print Artist from Maxis. I have no intention of ever using this. I only bought it because it was from Maxis, and I had never heard of it before. This is like, I guess, if you're doing greeting cards and stuff like that. There's a software title I'm trying to remember, probably from around the same time. I think it might have been Print Shop Deluxe, Print Shop Magic. I don't remember what it was. I remember using it on like a 386 computer or something like that. I'll keep an eye out for that, but this is another type of software that's, I guess, similar to that. It comes on 3.5-inch discs, and you've got all of this silly stuff in here. Take a look at this here. Print Artist. Create your own signs, greeting cards, banners, postcards. So this is the user manual. It tells you how to do all of the graphic stuff. Then you've got some of this weird stuff in here. This is the graphics guide. So this actually, I think, basically just goes over all of the clip art, I think, that's included in the software bundle. Different categories, education and science. Yeah. Strange. So I'm assuming that's what this is from. It just tells you what's actually on the discs. Then we have, what the hell is this? Paper Adventures, History in the Making. I suppose you can order some sort of supplies, different types of paper. And there's even more stuff in here. What do we have here? Print Artist Users Club newsletter. Wow. Look at all this clip art you can buy. I don't know what this is. I think someone, whoever owned this before, had printed out some giant pictures and then just left them in the box. And actually what's interesting is that it also includes like a little software catalog for Maxis. So when you open it up, well, we got SimCity 2000. Where do we have it? Oh yeah, okay, so we got Sim Farm, Unnatural Selection, I don't know what that is, never heard of it. Fish, okay. SimCity Classic, Sim Ant. Some things on how to order. We got Sim Life, A-Train, Rome, Sim Earth, RoboSport, and I think that's the end of it. This is just some partner software. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to actually try using this, but I'll probably install it on one of my old computers just to, you know, just to toy around with, but obviously I'm not going to seriously use it. I don't have a printer for any of these computers, so it's not really something I'm going to be looking into that much. Okay, so the last two items I'm going to talk about are these two computers. These, well, let's start off with the top one. This one I bought because I needed the case. This is a standard AT case. It's a socket 7 board that's inside of here. I needed this case in order to try and get another board I have working. The board I've got, I don't think I've mentioned it in the video yet. I think it's called the Motorola Atlas 604. It's basically a socket 7, or no, what the hell am I talking about here? It's an AT base board that has a PowerPC 604 processor on it. And the only other case that I had, I've actually used for my Pentium 233 build. And I didn't want to have to keep pulling that board out to try and get this other board working. I wanted my own case specifically for that project. So the interesting thing about eBay is that you could either spend $150 buying a case, or you could spend about $50 buying the entire computer. This I ordered, I think it came from Ohio, and somehow it only cost me like $15 to ship from there to Canada. And what's included in this thing, it's actually an Intel socket 7 board. I wasn't actually expecting anything decent inside of it. But what I might actually do is see if this is any better than the PC chips garbage that I've got in my other computer. Gonna see if it's got those fake L2 cache chips in it. If it does, I might actually take the board out of this, throw it in that machine, and then throw out the PC chips board. But yeah, I haven't really got around to testing too much of that yet. So this case eventually will be used for a different project. What I've got underneath it, this is a Dell 486. This is like the, what is it? It's like a 425 is what the actual model number is, but when I bought it, it was as is without RAM or CPU. I think I paid about $30 or $40 from a eBay seller out in Calgary, and I have all of those components here, so I bought this to see if I could revive it, and I was able to put a DX266 chip in it, as well as an amount of RAM. The only actual repair I had to do was replacing the fan on the power supply. The old one had seized up completely, so I pulled that out and wired a new one in. This is a project I have. It's got Windows 3.11 installed on it. I've got, I think I got like a compact flash card in there for storage. I'm not going to talk too much about this though, because I will be doing a video on this and everything that's inside of it. So you can look forward to that in about 3 or 4 years from now, I suppose. But anyway, that's basically just what I've been up to with my old collections of junk here. Somewhere in here I do have an 030 accelerator for my one of my color classics at the back there. At some point in the past I did mention I was going to order a math coprocessor chip from China, and I think that took about 3 months to arrive, and then it did arrive, and I've managed to misplace the actual accelerator card. I have no idea where it went. So that's another one of those things I'm going to test out, see if that actually worked, because the math coprocessor chip that, you know, I hope is compatible, I think I paid about $3 or $4, that's with shipping included. So yeah, I dropped that into the accelerator card, and I'm going to eventually boot up the computer and see if it works. I've got a bit more board recapping to do. And one other thing I did mention on Twitter, I said my next video was going to be about my Amiga CD32. I haven't made the video yet, and I think I said that over a month ago. So eventually I will get off my ass and finish that video. And when I finish that video, I'll talk about my 486. So keep an eye out for my video, but like I said earlier, I do enjoy driving my car more than I enjoy making these videos, so sorry. Have a good one.